Welcome to Money Lion MMA coverage of UFC Orlando. This fight card will be coming to you December 3rd. Prelims beginning 6 p.m. Central Time. Main card beginning 9 p.m. Central Time. Headline by Stephen Thompson and Kevin Holland. Jose, this is going to be an exciting one. Interestingly enough, both of these guys coming off of tough losses. Not very often, I feel, that we see guys coming off losses headlining an event. But this is totally worthy, man. I'm excited to see both these guys fight. Kevin Holland, I've said before, is one of my favorites. And he's coming into this fight as a favorite. Minus 154. Stephen Thompson is a plus 120 underdog currently on FanDuel. Interestingly enough, that line has kind of fluctuated back and forth. At one point, if I'm not mistaken, it was perfectly even with both fighters at minus 110, being pretty much, according to the bettors, a 50-50 shot. But it seems most of the money is now on Kevin Holland, and that's personally where I'm leaning here. But I'm curious to see what you think, Jose.
Yeah, I agree. I hate to say it, but I agree with you on Kevin Holland. I'm leaning towards Kevin Holland as well. Earlier today, I saw a thing about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, like the UFC posted on YouTube, and it was just kind of like just honoring him for being like in the UFC for a decade now. And I was thinking, like, man, like I hate to say it, but like, could we be seeing like the end of the road for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson? I mean, he's been at the top for so long, and he's fought for the title twice, and now he's coming off two back-to-back losses to some top killers right now. Bilal Muhammad, he's making his way up the welterweight division, and same with Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns had that battle with Khamzat Chimaev, and it doesn't get easier. I think the only other fight besides this that makes sense for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, whether he wins or loses, would be a rematch against Jorge Masvidal. Not to get too off track, but I think that'd be a great thing to see before he leaves the UFC. And the reason why I say that is because, yeah, I think it may be this younger guy coming in and just overpowering Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I mean, Kevin Holland, we've seen him be successful at 185. You know, he's knocked out legends like Jacare Souza. He may be able to put out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I mean, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's been slept by Anthony Pettis when he moved up. So I want, I feel like, Kevin Holland can probably end this as well, being that he's naturally the bigger guy. And not only that, I'm sure he wants to redeem himself coming off that Khamzat Chimaev loss. He just completely got outclassed and got submitted in the first round. And he did this whole retirement thing and came back. So I think Kevin Holland, he's I think he's going to be extremely successful at the welterweight division. So I feel pretty confident picking him over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I think that's really, I'm glad you bring up that motivation aspect of, God, I totally forgot that he did all that Twitter stuff when he was rambling on about retiring and he was being cryptic about having these meetings, this and that. And lo and behold, he's got, another contract or whatever. He's fighting guys, Stephen Thompson to be specific again for his fourth fight this year. Who knows what his mindset was, man. And it does kind of make me a little nervous. Like, I mean, I think Kevin Holland's the kind of guy that, he signed the contract and now he's all in. So that's encouraging. If he's putting all in on something, I think he's really going to do well at it. And I also am glad you mentioned the weight as well. I mean, this fight will be taking place at welterweight, and he got destroyed by Khamzat, but it was kind of an unexpected fight for him. I think, maybe if he had a little more preparation, granted, she just got jumped on right away. He didn't even get the chance to strike Khamzat once. He just had dude on his back and got choked out. I mean, it was one of the quicker fights I've seen. So I feel like Kevin Holland would love to get a rematch on that, but of course not at the middleweight division. But either way, I agree that like I said, I lean Kevin Holland. Not sure I'm 100% like ready to throw all my money on him, but he will likely be in the parlay, and I'll probably throw a couple bucks in a single bet too. I think Stephen Thompson's only route here to victory, really, in my opinion, is going to be decision. Kevin Holland's not been knocked out in his pro career yet. It's possible, right? Stephen Thompson could do it, but he certainly hasn't done that in a long time. Since 2016, Stephen Thompson hasn't gotten a KO win. So I just don't see it happening against Kevin Holland, man. And in terms of the fight going the 3 rounds, I still wouldn't even be that confident in Stephen Thompson. So give me Kevin Holland for sure.
Yeah, that so you guys heard it there, both Nick and I for Kevin Holland. Yeah, you can expect a stand up fight in this one. I don't think these guys are going to be looking too much to grapple. So yeah, I feel totally confident with Kevin Holland. Steven, I'm just worried he's really good at playing a point system game. So that's I just think that Kevin Holland's just going to be too big and flashy and almost overpowering that he could finish it within the 2.5 rounds. So I will go with Kevin Holland finishing Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That leads us to the next fight of the night. It is another welterweight bout between Brian Barberena versus Rafael dos Anjos. Right now, Brian Barberena is the betting underdog at plus 390, while Rafael dos Anjos is the betting favorite at minus 590. This is an exciting one, Nick. Rafael dos Anjos, we've seen him go up and down within lightweight and welterweight. He most recently had a lightweight bout between Rafael Fasiz back earlier this year. He ended up losing game via KO in the fifth round. While Brian Barberena, he is actually coming off probably one of the biggest wins of his career over the former welterweight champ Robbie Lawler. Brian Barberena, I mean, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, and Rafael dos Anjos, he looks great, to be honest, at both lightweight and welterweight. Honestly, we all know he's the former lightweight champ, and he's also was a title contender at welterweight, and he's gotten some pretty big wins at welterweight. So seeing Brian Barberena be this big of an underdog kind of surprises me. I feel like this is going to be an extremely competitive match. What do you think, Nick?
I totally agree on this match, dude. This almost could be one of the best fights of the night, man. I'm really excited to see the approach these guys take. Like you said, man, Barberena has fought against some of the cream of the crop in the welterweight division. But interestingly enough, in his losses to Colby Covington, he gets taken down 12 times. In his fight to Leon Edwards, he gets taken down 3 times. He's clearly shown in the past the non-ability to defend against takedowns. So that'll be fascinating. Will RDA maybe play that into his game a little bit? He hasn't gotten a submission win since 2019, and he consistently gets takedowns. He attempted 22 against Paul Felder, got 6 back in 2020, and Renato Moicano got 5 of his 15 attempts. He definitely shoots pretty often. I'm fascinated to see how much of that he plays in because, man, Brian Barberena is a matchup. What is this, man? He's been so hot and so electric to watch. Even before his win against Robbie Lawler, his split decision win against Matt Brown, dude, those guys were just beating on each other like dummies. It was hilarious, and neither of them would go down. And oh, man, it's very exciting when Barberena steps in. You know it's gonna be hard to take him down. You know it's gonna be hard. Well, excuse me, and by take him down, I mean knock him out. Because as I explained earlier, he's been taken down quite often by guys who want to do it. But specifically, I'm talking about getting knocked out. It's very difficult to knock this man out. So that being said, tough decision, but I gotta lean the favorite RDA. I think he's got more tools all around. And this is interesting too because this is RDA's first 3-round fight since 2020. He's been in multiple main events since, or I guess interestingly enough, he had a 5-round fight in UFC 272, even though it wasn't a belt fight. But regardless, he's been fighting for a lot of rounds, and he's getting only 3 rounds here. He might really put the pedal to the metal. So yeah, definitely lean RDA here.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's this is gonna be one of the very rare instances in recent history for RDA of him having a 3-round match. I think yeah, like you said, I think that may just play to his favor. He's so well conditioned and not being the main event or under the spotlight that hard. I think probably kind of relieves a little pressure off of him as well. And he overall is a well-rounded fighter. I mean, this guy has great stand-up and great submission skills that, yeah, like he may take a page out of Kobe Covington's book and completely outclass Brian Barberena and completely outgrapple him. I mean, Brian Barberena, he has a takedown average of .16. So I'm like I don't know if he's gonna be. It's definitely gonna be a stand up fight, and his defense. I feel like RDA could easily take him down. Like so I feel like this is definitely going to be a stand-up game, and I think RDA is just going to almost outclass Brian Barberina in every single aspect of the game, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. I do think RDA is going to win this. He hasn't, yeah, like you say, he hasn't really gotten a finish in a minute. I would go with him winning this via unanimous decision. Uh, yeah, it's I don't see it going any other way. I see RDA winning this via unanimous decision.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna be quite as bold as to pick a win decision or win method, but I'm gonna be putting RDA on the parlay. There's no doubt about it. I think he's really gonna be best to put out a strong, fast, early, like aggressive early performance. I think he really just needs to go out there and put all the pressure on, and I think he'll be able to come out victorious. And Jose agrees. That being said, we're going to head to our next bout of the night. This is a flyweight matchup between Mateus Nicolau and Matt Schnell. We've got another pretty considerable favorite here, with Nicolau being minus 400. Matt Schnell at plus 285. Jose, this might be my underdog of the week. It's tough because Matt Schnell is obviously more of the kind of guy who wants to take you down and submit you. His last three of his four last wins, excuse me, um, were by submission. So he's really looking to come out and take someone down and choke him out. And triangle choke is his favorite of those. So it makes me nervous because Nikolau's looking at a 93% takedown defense and has shown the ability to avoid being taken down. But I also don't think he's really fought anyone that's really like looking to take your head off like Matt Schnell is. So, Jose, I'm definitely curious to see what you have to think. Matt Schnell, even though he does lean towards the submission finishes, only averages 0.68 takedowns per 3 rounds. So it still doesn't seem like he's going to, shoot for takedown after takedown. But if he does get to the ground, he's a threat for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. For this one, yeah, I do see why there's a lot of value in Matt Schnell being the underdog. What I like the most, what I see here is that he does carry a 4 inch reach advantage, and as well as he throws more significant strikes per minute than Matus Nicolau. I think even though Matus Nicolau, him being the heavy favorite, he does have. I do like his win over Tim Elliott, and he's on that 5 fight winning streak. But yeah, if you're looking at like the underdog perspective, I see there's a lot of value going with Matt Schnell. This one for me is actually a tough one because I'm not too sure on Matt Schnell. This one I may not bet on, to be honest, just because I'm not too sure. If Matchstyle will be able to for surely pull this off, just given that Matus Nicolau too, he's on such a hot winning streak right now, and being 18-2 and the younger guy, this would be probably one of the bigger challenges for Matus Nicolau. And like you said, Matt Schnell is going to be probably coming for his head, but I think Matus Nicolau needs to bring that same energy, and because of that, this one's just kind of a hard one for me to kind of want to put my money on.
Fair enough, man. And I don't, by any means, I don't want to force you to make a pick because we're trying to make these picks to win money and to have the better record in the end. So why make the pick if you're not confident in it? And in the end, neither am I. In saying that I lean Matt Schnell, I'm certainly not going to be putting more than a couple of bucks down since he is the underdog and you can get pretty decent return. But it concerns me because he just doesn't seem to have much of a strike. Like he has more strikes landed per minute, sure, but it seems to be more like volume striking. And I'm just not sure how effective that's going to be against Nicolau. I'm just not sure if he's going to ever get Nicolau to the ground. And if this just is a stand up only, Chanel really needs to use that reach advantage or he could be in for something because Nicolau's never been submitted in his pro career. It's still a 21 fight career, and to not be submitted once, I mean, like I said, no gunners, no absolute ballers that he's fought yet. But I'm not sure Matt Schnell is like necessarily a crazy good fighter either. I mean, he's good, sure, but he still has to prove himself to get to the title contention area. So I slightly lean match now myself, but he will not be on the parlay or anything.
And there you guys have it. Nick from Matt Schnell will not be on his parlay. I'm not too sure on this one. I wouldn't blame you for you on your parlay through Nicolau or Schnell, either or. If you want to feel a little risky or play it safe. And that leads us to the next fight of the night. This was one of the ones I'm looking forward to. We have a heavyweight bout between Tai Tuivasa versus Sergey Pavlovich. Right now, Tai Tuivasa is the betting underdog at plus 162, while Sergey Pavlovich is the betting favorite at minus 210. This one, it's kind of crazy. Tai Tuivasa, it was just 3 months ago. He fought in Paris, France against Cyril Gahn, and he's already jumping in and taking a pretty challenging fight, to be honest. I mean, Sergey's he's a force to be reckoned with, and he's making his way up the heavyweight ladder. Most recently knocking out Derek Lewis in the first round, TKOing him, I should say. While Tai Tuivasa, he had a war with Cyril Gahn, and he got KO'd in the third round, and that type of KO was kind of crazy because you can see Tai Tuivasa wanted to stay in the fight, but damn, like Cyril Gahn had to put him down. But he looked good against Cyril Gahn at points at a point in time. So he's definitely going to be I have a lot more throwing a lot more punches than what Derek Lewis did. I think Tai Tuivasa is going to come in with more volume, and he's definitely going to have the power to back up that volume against Sergey. So it just depends. But Sergey's just so good and scary. This is going to be a fun one, man. I don't know if this will make it to the end of the 3 rounds. What are your thoughts, Nick?
It might not, man. I think not to downplay the co-main RDA and Brian Barberina. I think that's going to be a war. But dude, this might just be it, man. This might be the main event in hindsight. These guys are crazy, man. Tuivasa had a quick rising up. He was fighting some kind of bottom dwellers, beat Harry Hunsucker, beat Greg Hardy. Not really great fighters. But then he just knocked out Sakai, knocked out Derek Lewis, and he rose on the ladder quick. And in a way, so is Pavlovich. With Derek Lewis really being the best fighter. I mean, Shamil is a great heavyweight as well, but that was earlier this year, and Shamil is definitely getting to the end of his career. So, as much of a beast as Pavlovich is too, it's not like he's fought, Curtis Blades or anything kind of different in the heavyweight division. The size difference here is what's really intriguing, man. From what I'm seeing, they're really a 9-inch reach advantage here for Pavlovich. That's insane, man. He's a big dude, and that would be the one thing that's like, okay, I get it. In terms of Pavlovich being the minus 210 favorite, it kind of makes sense. But everything else makes me want to go with Tuivasa here. I think he's the guy that is able to break the mold and to be so difficult to knock out. Khan had to throw 110. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. Tuivasa held in for so long. I don't know, man. This to me is going to be a brawl, and this might have to be one that I don't really officially pick, man, because I'm like split in exactly two here. When I look at each of these fighters, I think both of them are absolutely still, like, even though Tuivasa is coming off a loss, I still think his stock is rising. So I don't know, man. It's tough.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like seeing their quick rise, especially Tai Tuivasa. I mean, Tai Tuivasa is definitely without a doubt gone against bigger names, but he's also won fights he should have won, like the Stefan Struve one, the Harry Hunsucker, the Greg Hardy fights. Those he definitely should have won. The Derek Lewis one, that was one I think he was I think he was the underdog. And then after that, the Cyril Gahn one, yeah, he shouldn't have won that one, even though he did look good at times. But he overall was getting outclassed. He was on his way to losing unanimous decision, and it's unfortunate that he got knocked out. But before that too, when he had a 3-fight losing streak, he lost against some bigger name back then, Junior Dos Santos, Ivanov, and Sergey Spivak. Right now, Sergey Spivak, he's kind of making his thing, making his ways around back into the heavyweight division. But other than that, this is a fight where I think he I may not go with him. I'm definitely going to go with Sergey Pavlovich because again, you said it. You said it. He's the bigger guy, and this fight I don't think is going to go to the ground whatsoever. Both dudes have zero takedown average. It's going to be heavy swinging, and I see it right now. Sergey he throws more significant strikes per minute than Tai Tuivasa, and him being the bigger guy, I think we may see something similar to Cyril Gane if like the Cyril Gane fight, to be honest. I think it may be something similar, though it'll be exciting and Ty will have his moments. But I think Sergey is just too good. And I think he's going to be a top, like a top five fighter for sure pretty soon. So for this one, you can have me with the betting favorite, Sergey Pavlovich.
Yeah, man, and it breaks my heart to say that I kind of agree. I love Ty, and I might even just be rooting for him, even if I have, picked Sergey to win. I love Ty. I like Bam Bam a lot, and I wish him the best to succeed. But you're right, man. In the end, Pavlovich just has such a big size advantage, and he also's got the fists to back it up. Every single one of Pavlovich's UFC fights have ended in the first round. Every single one of the five in his debut, he fought Alistair Overeem. I mean, what a debut! That's just insane. He got knocked out, and Alistair Overeem, I believe to this day, is the only person to knock out Pavlovich. I certainly don't anticipate Ty to be that guy, but in Ty's respect, he's also been in like 12 UFC fights, and only two have gone to decision. So Ty's been able to knock some dudes out too, and that's in the end why I am nervous. Pavlovich has the tools needed to win this fight, but Tuivasa is the kind of guy to be against the wall and turn the tables fast. So, with my money on Pavlovich, I'm constantly concerned until his hand is raised, to be honest. So, yeah, it sounds like Jose and I do slightly lean towards Pavlovich. I personally am sad to say it because I like Tuivasa more, and my heart will be rooting for him in this fight, but my money may not. Coming in next with will be the second fight on the main card. This one is a middleweight bout between Jack Hermanson and Roman Dolidze. Currently, we're looking at a minus 200 favorite in Jack Hermanson, plus 154 underdog for Dolidze. And I'm fascinated to see what Hermanson can do here. He's coming off of a win, loss. He pretty much alternates on and off. He struggles to get into a streak, and he's really needing to find his stride really in the division at this point. And Dolidze is more of he's not young, but he still is kind of a MMA prospect. Being born in '88, he's definitely not what most considered young. But 34 is also kind of your MMA prime zone. You know what I'm saying? It's in a lot of cases where guys have a great mix of experience and still being in peak physical shape. So by no means is the Dolidze at a disadvantage because of his age at this point. I do question a little bit about his experience. It makes total sense to me why Hermanson is the minus 200 favorite. Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Jack Hermanson, like, yeah, the age, I don't know. Yeah, the age definitely won't be a factor. I mean, Delite is actually 1 month younger than Jack Hermanson. They're both 34, and it's kind of crazy. Yeah, they're both 1988s. Um, and during that time, I mean, they both been on Earth for about the same amount of time. And to be simple and quite frank, yeah, Jack Hermanson has racked up more experience in the cage during these 34 years. So in his most recent win over Chris Curtis, yeah, that's pretty good. And then he lost to Sean Strickland. So yeah, you're right. He is on a win loss. Delise though, I do think he has the confidence going in him and winning via first round, via KO in the first round, back to back against Kyle Dawkins and Phil Haas. There's some. I definitely see the momentum going there. So I'm not too sure in him necessary how he's like the underdog, but I would have had him as the favorite for sure for this one. I do think Jack Hermanson just has his experience and probably being the bigger name, being that he also beat bigger names like Jacare Souza, Calvin Gastelum, and Edmund Shabazian when he was more of a prospect, and most recently Chris Curtis. So and he has actually a sick first round submission over Gerald Mearshart. Gerald Mearshart getting a first round submission win over that guy. So Jack Hermanson, it's well known that he's a great grappler. That being said, like I think he's probably going to take this to the ground and just out wrestle Delitze, and I think he may just win this decision. I don't know if he's will finish him. It seems like most of his wins and losses recently are coming by decisions. So I'd be pretty interested to see if he actually can finish Delitze. But for this one, I'm definitely leaning for Jack Hermanson.
This is going to be really interesting, man. You make some good points regarding Hermanson's ground game and his ability to grapple with guys and get a fair amount of submission wins in the UFC. Something Delidze's kind of struggled with in his UFC career is takedown defense with only having 33%. It's not great. Interestingly enough, he's got a 2.47 takedown average of his own, so he still at times likes to go down to the ground. I'm fascinated to see if that's the strategy he uses against Hermanson. I'm not sure that's going to be his best strategy, though. You mentioned the fact that he's coming off 2 straight KO wins in the first round. Why wouldn't he want to continue bringing it forward and trying to outstrike guys? He's pretty much the same size as Hermanson. There's really no size advantage for either man here. So this is another tough one for me, man. I think I'm going to lean with the underdog here, though. Delidze, I think he's going to have to bring it and get the KO win because Hermanson definitely poses a threat on the ground. But the fact that Hermanson, I mean, he didn't really do anything against, he outstruck Chris Curtis, which is encouraging, but he was 0 for 6 on takedowns. Yeah, Chris Curtis is pretty good at his takedown defense. But I don't know. I would have liked to see Hermanson at least land a couple of those. But it certainly is impressive the fact that he doubled Chris Curtis on the striking output. I'm just not sure that's going to be able to get matched against Delidze. So this will be the one that we disagree on, it sounds like, because I'm going to be leaning Delidze.
And you guys heard it there. Nick for Delitze and for Hermanson. And now that brings us to the next fight of the night. This is the first fight of the night. This is the opener. It is a middleweight bout between Eric Anders and Kyle Dawkins. Right now, Eric Anders is the betting underdog at plus 172, while Kyle Dawkins is the betting favorite at minus 225. I'm a fan of Eric Anders. He's always been like just aggressive in his style. He's a former Alabama linebacker, and you can just tell in the base and when he fights, he just is so powerful and he presses forward and he's not afraid to get hit. And while on the other hand, Kyle Dawkins, yeah, he's coming off a loss to your guy right now, Delitze. He got knocked out by him in the first round, most recently earlier this year in June. But before that, he had a win over Jamie Pickett, and then there was that no contest with Kevin Holland that happened, and he lost to Phil Haas. So it hasn't really been. It's kind of been kind of like a bumpy road. It's hard to say really because he has 1 win, 1 no contest, and 2 losses. But Eric Anders, I mean, coming back to back, I like this guy, and I'm a fan favorite of his, but I can see why he's the underdog in this one. He's 14-7. He's the elder. He's 35 years old, and he's coming off 2 losses, one in the first round and another one via split decision. So he's a dog, and this one's gonna be a close one. But for this one, I'm still not sure, man. I think I'm leaning towards Dawkins, but this is another fight I'm not truly confident with. What are your thoughts, Nick?
This is one, man, where I really respect Eric Anders and what he's been able to do. But in the end, the more I look at it, I'm more and more confident in Kyle DeCaus, man. I think, looking at that fight against Kevin Holland, I really wish it would have been able to play out. If you don't recall, that was a fight where in the first round they like smacked heads and they fought for a little bit, and Kevin Holland ended up getting submitted, I think, because he pretty much knocked himself out with the head clank. And then they later reviewed it and decided that they were going to do like a no contest and not give Kyle the win. I really wish I could have been able to see that fight play out without the shenanigans of the head knock, because that to me would have been a really good baseline to see where DeKaus is at. He's he lost to Brendan Allen and Phil Hawes otherwise before Dolidze, and those are two really talented fighters too. So I really want to know what DeKaus can do with a little more experience. He's still, I'd consider an up and coming prospect. Definitely not young, but he's 29, and I think he's got a lot of experience. My thought here is that he's going to continue to improve and learn from each fight. Sure, he's coming off of a knockout in round one, but I think he's going to learn from that and improve against Eric Anders, who's a very tough guy to put out. A lot of Anders' losses come by decision because it's a very difficult. Thiago Santos in 2018 is the last dude to knock out Eric Anders. It just doesn't happen very often. So I'm not thinking that that's going to be able to happen. I think the Kaus is looking at a win by decision here.
Yeah, looking at it, yeah, DeKaus, he's never knocked anyone out, and yeah, Eric Anders, he's only been knocked out that one time. DeKaus, if he wins this, yeah, I'm leaning towards him. But even though Eric Anders doesn't get submitted that often, I could see DeKaus sneaking something in there and getting that submission win. But overall, not too sure if that's the method he'll win. But I'm definitely feeling more confident in Kyle DeKaus.
Yeah, fair enough. I suppose the ground game is definitely worth considering. DeKaus does carry a 2.36 takedown average every 15 minutes, aka 3 rounds. So there could be an element of that. Anders historically has got a 75% takedown defense. And he does have a win over Gerald Meerschaert, split decision win, but Meerschaert only shot for one takedown in that fight, interestingly enough. So you wonder what the game plan was going into that. But otherwise, Anders hasn't really faced against too many other guys who rely too much on their grappling. So maybe that is an avenue Kyle DeKaus takes. And that does make me want to avoid the win specifically by decision, but I would take Kyle DeKaus as a single bet. That leads us directly into the last quick section of our show here. We're going to tally up what we agree on and get you guys a quick parlay and remind you to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and leave a comment down below on the fighters that you agree or disagree with and the bets that you're going to be making for this Saturday. Also follow us on Twitter at Moneyline MMA. We will be posting our final picks on Saturday before the card starts, as all the picks we have right now are recorded early in the week and things could come out. You just never know when the UFC fights could get canceled and they could replace it last second. So definitely follow us over there to get our final picks on Saturday. That being said, it looked like Jose and I agreed primarily on a few of these fights. RDA being the big one, right? The minus 590, biggest favorite on the card. So he's got to be a part of this parlay. Um, Matt Schnell's a guy that I kind of like as an underdog, but definitely not a parlay piece. We got to put Kevin Holland on there. You said you were leaning Stephen Thompson for some of the week, but kind of had a shift in your mindset. I'm gonna keep that moving forward. Let's put him in the parlay. We're confident in Kevin Holland. That two-legger is minus 108 on FanDuel. And if you want to go so far as to add DeKaus in there, since Jose and I just discussed as we agree on that one, and it was seen to be the one that we were the most confident otherwise because we didn't agree on the second fight of the night. And Jose seemed a little bit more confident in Pavlovich than I did. We did both agree on Pavlovich. So this third leg could be Pavlovich, excuse me, if you agreed. But I was a little too hesitant. Personally, I'd prefer that third leg be DeKaus. So adding that third leg makes it plus 178. So again, make sure to check our Twitter on Saturday afternoon. Otherwise, thank you guys for listening and have a great week.